you've done a few of these. How do you feel about your chances coming in here tomorrow?
It's a great honor to be here. Thank you, USATF, USOC, and the LA Marathon for allowing us to have an opportunity to represent, hopefully, our country by making 3 spots. And Greg, thank you for the KT tape, and I'm so happy to be on your team, and as many other sponsors that helped me get here. In terms of training, you know what? I couldn't be happier. I mean, you do all that you can to be the best that you can on that day, and I feel my training has gone well. I feel confident going in, hopefully experienced. But in run, you can't play timeout, or you can't play defense. May the best men and women be able to rise to the occasion. And in terms of, I've been in Mammoth Lakes. I just came in yesterday around noon. I was away from my family for 5 weeks, but they surprised me for one week later. So I've been without them for 4.5, and the girls miss me. But at the same time, you know, this is one more opportunity, and I hope to go out there and do the best that I can. I always say run to win, get the best out of ourselves, and may we send the best teams. And it's a great spectators-friendly course, and you know, obviously, welcome to Southern California weather.
All right, we'll open it up for questions. We do have microphones today for those who are asking questions, so please wait after you're called on for the microphone. Nobody has any questions. All right. Scott.
It's a question for both you guys. There's two parts. How big a factor is the weather going to be? And do you recall your first marathon? What kind of factors is Galen going to face in the last 6 miles? What's the biggest adjustment he's going to have to make?
So let's start with the weather.
Weather. I've honestly never run in temperatures that are expected for tomorrow. So I've had a lot of experience on the track with heat and humidity. Have an Olympic medal from Beijing, which was really hot and humid. I wouldn't classify myself as a great heat runner, but I wouldn't say I'm terrible. So I'm just going to listen to my body as much as I can. And I think just knowing going in that it is going to be uncomfortable for a large part of the race, and it is going to take its toll eventually. And I just feel like I'm preparing in terms of just knowing that is very helpful, and then just staying on top of fluids.
And Matt, what about you for the weather?
Yeah, the weather will be a factor, and fortunately it starts at 10:06 and not at 7 o'clock, but it is what it is. And luckily I've run well in heat, whether it was at Athens, but I was ready for that. And I'd done New York when it was 70 degrees, and London last year 2012 was pretty warm. So it's tough, but it's going to take it, and the body's going to take a toll, but at the same time, you just got to monitor. And those people that are running on Sunday, take extra cautious. And we obviously can't take extra cautious, but at the same time, I like to take that message to tell them, you know what, hydrate, and listen to the body, as Shalane said, because that's going to be the key factor to get to that finish line.
And the rock factor? What's the biggest?
Yeah, the first marathon.
Yeah. What's the?
Well, I mean, being the first marathon, there's a lot of undiscovered roads there, and some of us hit our walls on the first one, like New York 2002, and you know what? Everybody has to learn a lesson, and you have to go through it to be able to do it. But at the same time, Shalane, I remember when she did her first one, she's like, "Oh, this was great, I'm fine, can't wait to do another one." And I'm like, first time I did, I said, I never want to do ever this again. So it just depends whether there's a weather, whether there's a distance. It has, marathon definitely keeps you humble. And, me now going to Beijing definitely kind of revitalize that I miss running. We sometimes when things go well, you're like, oh, I can do this all day long, but not in the marathon. That's not always the case.
And Shalane, as Mev mentioned, you had a very successful marathon debut. So what are the elements that you feel kind of led to a successful debut?
I think just my respect for the distance led to a really good debut. I was really well prepared, probably over prepared. I studied like a student of the sport and of the distance, and my coach had us on the course, had us practicing fluids. We just had every little detail kind of dialed in, and we tried to control what we could control. And I think that's just what led to a successful marathon. And I think I was just ultimately wanting to call myself a marathoner that day. I didn't have exceedingly high expectations, so I think as I got closer to the finish line and I could sniff that finish, the competitor in me came out and allowed me to kind of not have these high expectations and allowed me to have a really great race.
This is a question for both of you, Meb and Shalane. How is the weather going to change your strategy? You're both obviously favorites, that's why you're up here, but if it's a slow course, a slow unfolding of the race, it seems like that would allow more competitors a chance to stay in the race until the last 6-mile loop. What can you tell us about your strategy tomorrow and how it's changed?
I'll probably, I haven't ironed out all the details of my strategy. I'll sit with my coach later and we'll go over all the factors. But yeah, the later you keep people around, you know, it allows for some people to have some really big performances. But I guess my comfort in knowing if people are around late is I switch back to the track quite often. So I can visualize myself on the track for the last 6 miles and what it feels like to be on the track and to pick up my legs quicker and the cadence quicker. So if it does come down to something where it's more strategic, I definitely feel like I will revert mentally to my track strengths.
You know, going to a race, you have plans. But strategies, as an elite athlete, you never really run your own race. Because you gotta cover something that somebody else make a move. Honestly, I think the only marathon that I ever ran my way was the Boston Marathon. The rest of the other stuff is you have to react, you have to make the gap, or somebody makes a move, you gotta be patient. So you have to make that decisions on that moment. And I'm pretty sure we have idea, Coach Larson and I, with my mentor, Coach Bob Larson, will talk about what the possibilities are, but we have plan A to Z and try to execute at that time, at that moment. But you know, you anticipate it will be a little bit slower just because of the weather or temperature, but at the same time, we know each other, what our weaknesses, what our strengths are, and you got to make those decisions at what point. That's what racing is.
Yep.
Shalane, you have a new training partner in Amy Hastings-Craig from last fall. You guys started training together, and how has that been an asset in your training, and have you guys talked about any plans to work together tomorrow during the race?
I feel so fortunate to have a training partner for this build-up. I just thrive on having the accountability and the friendship, and I do really cherish and relish the journey and the process to get to these stages, because the start line and the finish line are never a guarantee, and I feel like my training is always enhanced when I share it. So I feel really lucky that Amy decided to join our team this winter. And we've just had a really fun build-up. I actually started my build-up with an injury, and it was just so helpful to have the encouragement from her daily that I was doing everything I could and to not stress out about it. And it really made a big difference in my mental outlook and my approach to getting to this stage right here. So in terms of just race strategy, Amy and I are very fit, and I just feel like we'll know what to do instinctually when we're out there. We're gonna have to listen to our bodies. I think, you know, everyone reacts to the heat differently, so there's only so much we can say, oh, we wanna do this or we wanna do that, but honestly, as soon as you get out there, a lot of plans change. So there's really no plans right now to do anything together. I think just having the comfort of her next to me running will feel like we're back in Portland or we're in Flagstaff and we're doing what we know how to do, what we practice for. And I think that that kind of effect of kind of the synergy between us will allow us to stay calm and wait for the right moments when they're crucial decisions. I think we'll gain confidence from each other.
Go ahead, and then go ahead, Ryan.
Can you guys let us know what of your previous marathons you were most confident going into, and then also how does Saturday's confidence compare to those times?
I mean, for me, probably the most confident going in was Athens, 2004. I was the 39th fastest guy, but I executed really well the plan. That was only my 4th marathon ever, and came home with a silver. New York City win, that was a huge one, just because I did a tune-up race, and you make it look so easy sometimes, comes so often. But you know, but those you excel, you achieve those. But there's also some other races like the 2012 trials or London Olympics or Boston. You're not sure, but you rise to the occasion. And you know, I feel that my fitness, I'm not in 2004 shape, I'll tell you that much, because that's 12 years later, and I can't do those workouts like I used to, but wisdom and strength and experience pays off, and that's how I won the Boston Marathon, and I feel confident going into this race that, you know, my 23rd marathons, and 3 more left after that, and you know what? It's going to be getting close to it, so I just want to make sure it's always a great opportunity to represent our country, and my daughters are here right now, and you know, if I could stamp one more top 3 and go to Rio, they've been talking about Gabby Douglas is like, oh, you know what, you're going to make me want to meet her, so I'm like, well, I got to make the Olympic team, is kind of the talk is going around, so I've been thinking about those things, so, you know, they keep me humble, they keep me on my toes, and Jordanis does obviously a great job, make sure I understand what I'm doing, and it's been fun, but at the same time, you got to go there and execute a plan, and there's a lot of factors, like Shalane says, starting and finishing is not always guaranteed, but we are fortunate to be here, to be healthy, and give attempt to try to secure 3 spots, top 3 spots.
Bev, number 4, this has got to be special.
I mean, 4 is starting from 2000 versus, you know, 2004 and things like that. It got to be special. I mean, for me, I'm just thankful to be in the position that I am, to be able to have a shot at it. Whereas, you know, always my dream to be an Olympian, represent the United States. That dream came in 2000. When I was in Sydney, Australia, Olympic Stadium, I wanted to win a medal for our country. I thought it was going to be the 10K, but it happened in the, you know, in the marathon. And then my dream always was to win New York, done that. Always dreamed to win Boston, done that. Now, as a human, you always want to do, see if you can still do it, or you can want to do more. And for me, 4th Olympic team would be special, especially the longevity of it by missing Beijing. And I was hoping to get another medal in Beijing. That didn't happen, but I made my own Olympics, New York City Marathon, and I was fortunate enough to win that. So, you know, 4th. Hopefully we can be talking about this tomorrow, but nothing guaranteed. I'm working my butt off and see what is the possibilities to be able to get me on the team.
Go
I just feel like it just would show kind of the consistency and the level at which I've been competing at. Every time I've tried out for a U.S. team, I have made it, whether it's cross country, track, marathon, every world championship team basically since 2004. So I don't plan on missing my first tomorrow. I would hate for that to be the case. So yeah, I just hope it shows the consistency and the level at which I've prepared every single time.
Yes, you guys both earlier talked about the marathon, you know, training and the build-up, but could you both expound a little bit on the marathon taper, what that's like for you personally, what happens to your body physically, and what's it like mentally? Being around a lot of marathon runners, I hear people being very challenged by the taper, you know, what they go through because they, you know, reduce in mileage.
The taper is tricky. I think I've experimented with a variety of different tapers, but I think the taper allows you to mentally prepare. You've already done physically as much as you can possibly do, and this is a time where you have to let the work soak in and absorb. But as athletes, as runners, we're a bit neurotic, and we think more is always better. You always are left wondering, well, did I do enough? Did I do enough? And you just have to trust that you have done enough, and that this is the time to just start to collect your thoughts, actually. This is where you mentally are preparing to hurt. This is where you're mentally preparing your strategy, and this is the time to really hone in those kind of skills, because the physical preparation is done. To keep myself kind of sane, I just try to watch a lot of movies, not think about the race too much though at the same time. So it's a fine balance, and the taper tantrums are real. One day it's like I'm really cranky. My husband probably hates this time frame the most, but yeah, Amy and I have gone through being moments of very confident to like, oh my gosh, can we even finish the marathon, to just, you know, ridiculous things that sift through our minds. But yeah, it's a tough time period.
Well, training, you know, I usually say 90% is physical, 10% mental training, and then come race day, doesn't have to race day, but the week of, then it switches to 90% mental, 10% physical. And as Shalane alluded to, the work is done. And for me, as most of you will, you know, for mortals, I talk a lot about it and be able to just say what you need to do the last 4 weeks. And I try to follow that as close as I can and try to give confidence. You know, you got sometimes that you click and say, you know what, sometimes the weather just looks so nice and things you want tempted to go around, but you're like, you know what, the work is done. Don't try to push it. You'd rather be healthy and undertrained than trying to go overboard. And, you know, we don't predict injuries, we don't happen those things, but you have to think, okay, I'd rather just calm down. And, you know, I get a little jittery. I guess Jordanos was telling me this morning at breakfast, is like, tone it down, you know, because I got to do a couple things that, you know, you're so used to doing boom, 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 boom. Sometimes you take things, you need to breathe, and that's, you know, that's what, but you got all that energy coming from altitude, from doing 100 plus miles, now you're doing like 4 or 5 miles, it's very hard, so, you know, but at the same time, you just try to save everything you can for the race.
Oh, hi guys. Both of you know, you've both done it before, you both won the thing, much less just being on the team. How important is it to win the race tomorrow, or is it just get on that team?
I think Meb and I can both say that we love to win. It's a great feeling. However, having won this race 4 years ago, I do realize that it is short-lived, because I honestly believe that once 3 men and 3 women cross that finish line, you really are all winners, because third is just as important as first. So I think I beat Desi by maybe 7 seconds last time, and I enjoyed winning for about 7 seconds, and then it honestly is a celebration of the men and women who are going to the Olympics.
Meb?
I never met somebody who likes to lose. I mean, we all like to achieve our goals, and whether it's to win, whether it's second place and third place, just like Shalane alluded to. I remember that photo we have with Ryan, Abdi, and myself, just ecstatic as it can be. So, yeah, I mean, you live for those moments, you visualize those moments in training, and can I do it, can I do it, or I just want, if you think you can't win it, then maybe I just want to secure third place. So those are the dollars that you have in that tempo run, or intervals, or long run, and hopefully those dreams come when the gun goes off, and whoever, you know, we'd love to get first place, but second and third is good as well, because that's punch ticket to go to Rio, and this is the fair way to select for the United States, and it's nice to have the opportunity and the shot at this tomorrow, because there's a lot of other people that are close friends to me and Shalane that are not here that would love to have that challenge. So, and I'd like to congratulate all those qualifiers who are able to come and be able to participate, because for some of them, that's their goal. They want to be Olympic trial qualifiers. As we're dreaming to be in the Olympic team, they got here also, and some of them are not even healthy to be started line, so you have to respect that.
And Mev, in 2004, what place did you take at the Olympic trials?
2004, I finished second. Alan Culpepper got me. I was definitely undertrained, but he's a great friend of mine. Alan Culpepper, Abdi, they used to call us the Big Threes, and you know, they made me better. And in high school, there's people who made me better, who might be rivals, but eventually made me better. And the same thing goes now. And I just, you know, but to answer your question, second place, and then second place at the, you know, making the team. I was ecstatic, and then getting a silver, and then 70 days later getting second in New York. So those come to mind, and you know, we are very fortunate to live and to run this race healthy, because it can be gone like that. And I feel blessed that God gave me this opportunity for the longevity that I have.
Shalane, you mentioned earlier that you had an injury at the beginning of the build-up period. Can you give us a few details on what exactly that injury was, and how, if at all, it set back your training, and what you did to recover from that injury?
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to really not have any injuries pretty much my entire career. Right at the beginning of my career, I had what I thought was a navicular problem, but it was just an accessory bone. I was born with an extra bone in my foot. Apparently, it's not helpful, though, for running, so I needed it removed. But that's really the only significant injury I had until Right after the track season, I ran 2 road races and then took my typical 2-week break. And I wanted to make sure I was really rested for these Olympic trials. And apparently my body decided it wanted an extended break because I came off of my 2-week break and was maybe only about 10 days back into running, and just felt a pain in my second metatarsal. I don't know if it was from actual running or I was doing some barefoot, ironically some barefoot walking drills to strengthen my feet, that I incurred a stress reaction. So it wasn't a full break, but enough to take me out and put me in a boot for about a month. And didn't start training until I still went up to my first training trip in Flagstaff starting in about November, and was with Amy in preparation, and I did a bunch of cross training for about 2 weeks while we were there, and then was out running for the 2 weeks, basically the remainder 2 weeks of that month that I was in Flagstaff. So my second week of running, I actually ran a half marathon, which was in San Antonio. So I've made a lot of progress since then, and we made a very aggressive approach to get back to training. So 2 weeks in, I ran a half marathon, and then in training about 3 or 4 weeks in, I ran basically a marathon in training. So I feel really fortunate to be here because we pushed the envelope to be ready for this. There was no holding back. It was just full throttle once I got up and running.
All right, we're going to take one more question, then we're going to do a photo op, then we're going to break into one-on-ones. And Greg, you can get that in there. So John.
Meb, on the longevity question, obviously that's a big part of your story here, but you've talked about why you've been able to have such a long career, the need to get to the starting line healthy. What goes through your mind when you see Abdi have to pull out, Dina have to pull out, Ryan Hall had to retire, and you all, or at least you and Dina and Abdi were around the same age. What's it like when you see their bodies not able to perform anymore, and you're trying to get your body to perform one more time?
Well, to answer that question, I mean, you have to see me every single day what I do, and my wife Giordano's or people that are close to me will testify what I do. I mean, I'm always doing something, and it hurts to see Dina not get a starting line, especially last minute, and Abdi, I sent both of them the text, and to Ryan to retire, Matt taking up to retire, and those are great friends of mine, and yeah, you feel for them because I've been there. Injuries is part of the sport. I talk about it a lot. It's part of the life. Disappointments are part of life. Injuries are part of the sport, and it's a fine line that we live as an athlete. I talk in my new book, I said, do less mile. I tell somebody else today, I said, you'd rather run 8 miles than 9 miles and use that 5 minute or 10 minutes to stretch whatever level people are, because you're less stiff for the next day, you will recover faster, and you go out, you're gonna have more consistency. So it hurts, and I know I've had my number of shares. Shalane is saying she had 1 injury. I had pelvis fracture, 2 ruptured quads, Achilles, tendonitis, knee, and all that stuff that you can think of. But I have a number of shares, but the Olympic trials come once every 4 years, and to miss in the last, had a little shin issue going on about 2 weeks ago. But we have to get aggressive and get into it. It's nice to know your body, but at the Mammoth Sports Hospital, Sarah and physical therapists, everybody got me on my toes. I use, like I said, KT tape and all that stuff. Right on it. You want to be on it because for as long as we've been running, you know your body, you know what you do, but sometimes we push the edges like, oh, warm up, and no warm up, and all of a sudden you're thinking more yourself. If I should take 1 more day off a week or every 2 weeks, but I don't because we are top 8 people and we want like routine and things like that. But rest is important, training is important, and Matt and Ryan, wish them the best with the future, and Dina and Abdi, I'm pretty sure they're gonna bounce back and make a new Olympics. What's gonna be your next goal? For me in 2008, it was the New York City Marathon. I told my wife and brother and Coach Larson, I said, I guess my Olympics will be in New York, and I met that goal. I couldn't wait another 4 years for the trial. So set your goals and go out there, and you bounce back. And the body's just not there yet right now.
All right, so we're going to do a quick photo op, and then we'll